Nooran Hamdan. She's a Palestinian American. She's graduated and she's been engaging in a grassroots campaign, encouraging people to get out the vote for Bernie Sanders. Nooran, it is so great to have you with us. Can you just start by telling our viewers a little bit why you've decided to throw your support behind Bernie Sanders?
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. I truly believe that Senator Bernie Sanders is the only candidate in it at this point who's willing to go all the way on all of the promises he's made and defeat Donald Trump and radically change America from the richest country in the world that is unable to provide for millions of people. Americans don't have basic health care. Education isn't seen as a right. But on top of this all, Bernie Sanders is the standout candidate on foreign policy. When we're talking about the Middle East, when we're talking about Israel, Palestine, Senator Sanders is really the only person who stands out amongst all the other Democratic candidates. Foreign policy is important. We've seen what Donald Trump has done with the world, with the Middle East, since he's stepped into office. So for me personally, as someone who is Palestinian American, who's passionate about advocacy and refugee issues, it matters to me that someone like Bernie Sanders can become president of the United States.
Nooran, it is so important to get you to talk about that because this is really something that the U.S. networks haven't been covering. We had the Palestinian president, Mahmoud Abbas, addressing the United Nations today, rejecting President Trump's Middle East peace plan. You know, interesting to note that before September 11th, most Muslim Americans voted Republican. Now I think it's around 70% that have chosen the Democratic Party. So your candidate, Bernie Sanders, did very well this evening so far. I think that there's 50% of precincts reported in the campaign. But can you also talk to us about, you know, with issues like Islamophobia on the rise, why Bernie Sanders, who has had Ilhan Omar, the House Representative Ilhan Omar and others campaigning for him, and just why sort of his inclusivity is an important aspect of his campaign?
Yeah, of course. Bernie Sanders, again, is standing out as one of the Democratic candidates who's not only engaging the Muslim American populace as, oh, you're a voter block for me and I want your votes. Bernie Sanders is genuinely concerned about Islamophobia, anti-Semitism, anti-Black racism, bigotry against immigrants and refugees. He's shown his record as a senator, as mayor of Burlington, Vermont. He's really shown that he cares about immigrant communities. He cares about Muslim Americans. He goes to mosques. He was invited to speak at Muslim conferences. And again, going back to foreign policy, to have a candidate who isn't dehumanizing Palestinians. He's not perfect on Palestine, but for the first time in mainstream American media, we have someone, a huge politician, saying Palestinians deserve human rights. Palestinians shouldn't be thrown under the bus for the sake of Jared Kushner and Trump's egos. These are issues that the Muslim community cares about. And on top of it, poverty is a Muslim issue. How many Muslim Americans are living in poverty? Healthcare is a Muslim issue. How many Muslim Americans also need access to vital healthcare? So the intersectionality of the Bernie Sanders campaign is truly all-encompassing. And now is the time more than ever for Muslim Americans to get involved. And he's really the only candidate engaging with them at this level.
And Muslim Americans, actually, they don't make up a large part of the American electorate, but they are present in a lot of swing states, Nooran, and they do have the power to tip elections. What is it that you're doing right now to, engaging in the grassroots campaign? What are you doing specifically to get out the vote?
Yeah, so me and a ton of other really amazing dedicated volunteers today spent maybe since 10 in the morning right up until the polls closed. We were canvassing on the campus of the University of New Hampshire here in Durham. We were encouraging students to get out and vote. We had some nonpartisan organizations that were busing students over to the nearest polling station. We were personally talking to people. There were many people who were undecided, and really, if you're undecided at this point, it was our job to really swoop in, talk to you. For me, it wasn't just listing policy points, but telling people why I was personally supporting Bernie Sanders. And we've been doing this today, Yesterday, we had the huge rally here at UNH. Over 7,000 people came out. So just engaging at the grassroots level, and even in terms of, the Muslim American community here in New Hampshire, we've been sending out mass emails, mass texts. They're very excited. People are very excited to vote. It's an exciting time to be in New Hampshire, and it's an even more exciting time to be a Muslim American in New Hampshire.
Nooran Hamdan, you are very well spoken, and we appreciate your perspective in following those issues so closely. Thanks for being with us.